Hello everyone, it's March the 18th, 2022, and I've just started a 3-night solo backpacking trip that includes a short section on the AT, Rocky Fork State Park, and Cherokee National Forest. This trip started at Devil's Fork Gap, and then I took the AT south. And then when I get to Flint Gap, I'm going to take Flint Creek down into Rocky Fork State Park. I'm not quite sure how far I'm going to go today. Maybe to Flint Mountain Shelter, maybe Flint Gap, or I'm actually start down Flint Creek. It's overcast today. The temperature's in the upper 50s. And it's a little bit breezy. All right, I just left Flint Mountain Shelter and there was 5 thru hikers there, so I'm continuing on to Flint Gap. They confirmed what I remember, that there's a campsite at the Gap, and it's about 7/10 of a mile from the shelter. When I got to the Gap, I could hear water flowing, so I continued along an old flat logging road about 1/10 of a mile till it intersected with water. I took my pack thinking there might be a decent place to camp, but there wasn't, so I'm headed back to the Gap where the AT crosses and set up camp there. Really nice campsite last night on a old logging road. The temperature around camp was about 50 degrees. Didn't even build a fire. Rained a little bit during the night. The low was only 46. This morning, as soon as I left camp, I dropped off the AT on an old logging road down to Flint Creek drainage, and I'm headed into Lamar, Alexander, Rocky Fork State Park. It is an incredible cloudless day, and the temperature is already in the low 60s. just filled up with the water, and I'm looking for a place to camp, which is probably going to be the next wide spot in this logging road. Driving up Friday, I talked to the state park forest ranger, kind of told him what I had in mind, and he kind of indicated the trails should be findable, but would probably have a lot of blowdowns after I left the state park. So far, they've been in great shape. Only a few blowdowns, just really surprised. And I've been about 3 or 4 miles since I left the park. I saw a lot of day hikers on Flint Creek Trail in the park, but once I left Flint Creek Trail and took the White Oak Flats Trail, I haven't seen anyone. Well, it's not that wide, but it's flat, no rocks, and it has a little bit of a view. The big question for today is, will the trail be this well maintained all the way to the AT? I'm beginning to believe it will be. The last section of this trail up to the AT I've done before. Yesterday I had about, I don't know, 5 or 6 miles of new trail. Actually covered the greater distance than I expected yesterday. I kind of gave myself a little leeway expecting blowdowns. So today will probably just be a little short day and then out tomorrow. I was hanging my food last night and I noticed some particles floating around in the air. And I thought, what is that? I looked up and it was snowing. In a little bit it turned to rain mixed with snow for about 2 hours, but no accumulation. There was some ice this morning. The low last night was 30 degrees. Today's partly cloudy and the temperatures in the upper 40s. Oh wow, man, I just realized I'm to the intersection, so from this point forward I will have already done all the way to the AT, so pretty confident it'll be clear trails all the way. Here's a story you might find interesting. I believe it was in the late 90s. The AT was located a little higher up on the ridge line, and Johnny Malloy and I were camping at Sheldon Graves. These guys came in on ATVs, maybe 4 or 5. They had a little bit of an attitude and probably had guns, so I just started agreeing with everything they said. I don't care how stupid it was, just trying to find some commonality. And finally they drove on, and then I was up here, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, and I took a bunch of pictures of all the ATV tracks on the AT. So then a little while after that, I ran into a Cherokee forest ranger, and I told him the story with Johnny and I, and told him I had pictures, and he gave me a card and said, send me those pictures. So I did, and he sent them to the Appalachian Trail Conservancy, and they sent me an email thanking me for the pictures. And then a little bit after that, I was hiking up Flint Creek, which is now part of the state park, but at the time it wasn't. And I ran into a trail maintenance crew, and they were relocating a part of the AT, and they told me where the section they were relocating, and I laughed and told them, well, I'm the reason you're relocating it, and told them the story. All right, I just ran into a through hiker, the only person I've seen all day today, and he told me I'm about 1.8 miles from Flint Gap. I don't want to camp there again, so I found a little flat spot about 200 feet off the AT right after I crossed that branch, so I think I'm going to make it work. Well, what can I say about the campsite last night? I had a flat place to sleep and a little bit of a view down the valley. The low last night was 33. It's in the upper 50s now, cloudless day. The plan today is to continue north on the AT back to Devil's Fork Gap where I started. I think I've got about 5.5 miles today. After this trip, I have a new favorite loop in the North District of Cherokee National Forest. This was just a fabulous loop. I've done, I guess, all of it except for maybe 6 or 7 miles, something like that, from I guess the Headwaters Trail all the way up to Big Butt Trail. I'm not quite sure how many miles that is. But anyway, it was a great trip. Today I ran into a AT trail volunteer, and he told me that the individual that's maintaining Upper Rocky Fork Trail lives not far from Devil's Fork Gap. I was going to get some videos of Flint Mountain Shelter, but about the time I took my pack off, 8 of the 11 people I saw today showed up at the shelter to eat lunch. So anyway, great trip, fabulous loop. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.